Hi, it's Penny here and welcome to another reading vlog. This week, I'm not really sure what's happening other than we are getting a lot of summery weather. Now it's still spring, so any summery weather is a trick. Trying to get you to rely upon it, which it cannot be, but we're still gonna appreciate it while it's here. And of course, I will be reading some things while we're at it. So I have a few things kind of on the go, as well as an audiobook that I will be starting this week. So firstly, I'm about halfway through Ancillary Sword by Leckie. This is the sequel to Ancillary Justice. I started this in my last vlog, and I think it wasn't long ago that I read Ancillary Justice. So this follows this person who used to be a spaceship, like the AI of a spaceship, and they also had lots of bodies that they were a part of. And in the first book, we're kind of getting the original story that shows how they then became only one body. And then there's also another timeline 2,000 years later showing that single body that's the only part of them left, trying to get revenge of some kind. So that was very epic. I loved all the ideas in it. This one is kind of different, but also still really great. It's kind of like they're living in this particular political climate, and it's just like they're really great at their job, and anytime anyone is doing something that's like there's a lot of colonization that's gone on, a lot of like racism within these different cultures where they kind of pretend it isn't really happening, like a lot of privilege and unprivileged, and this main character will just come into the situation and be completely logical and badass about it, and I'm kind of loving it. Even though in some ways nothing's happening, I say that. About halfway through, we met this character who was so bizarre that I loved them, and then something very intense happened. So I'm kind of like, I don't really know what direction this book is going in, but I'm having a great time while I'm at it. I guess we'll see. When I started this, I really had doubts whether it could pull off the epicness of the first book in the series, and I still have doubts about that, but I don't know that that will mean I won't like this. So I'm going to be continuing to read that, and then as well I'm continuing to read Gideon the Ninth. I don't actually know how far through I am, because I'm actually reading this as like my nighttime ebook read for when I want to read with the lights off, and my ebook's in the other room, of course, because that's where the bed is. But I think maybe I'm like 60-something% of the way through. Every time I open this book, I'm like shocked by how small the font size is. I'm glad I'm reading the ebook actually, because, you know, one of the benefits of an ebook reader is you can make the font size bigger. Anyway, Gideon the Ninth is a book that I have been very excited to read for a long time, and I am having a great time with it. I kind of regret picking it as just my nighttime read, because I would like to be reading more of it than I am. So this is often sold as lesbian necromancers in space. So we're following Gideon, who's of the Ninth House, and they really just want to leave the Ninth House. So they've made a deal with the head of the house that they will act as like security for this necromancer competition, in which if they do that, then they'll earn their freedom. When we get to this competition though, things are very strange. I'm really enjoying the mix of necromancy and this competition, even though we still don't really know what the goal of the competition is, but part of the challenge is that the characters have to try and work that out. So I'm going to be continuing that. And then, the audiobook that I'm going to be picking up this week will be Mirrored Heavens. Let me check. Just Mirrored Heavens by Rebecca Roanhorse. So this is the third book in the Between Earth and Sky trilogy. So the first book was Black Sun. The Black Sun? I don't know if it had a that in it either. And the second book was The Fevered Star. I don't think that one had a the. So a lot of people really liked Black Sun. We're following kind of a bunch of characters who in some ways represent the different gods of this world. So it's kind of like a pre-Columbian American mythology inspired world. We have Serapio, whose mother kind of forced him into becoming perhaps a crow god. We have Shiala, who is like this badass ship captain, and we also have this like sun goddess priestess who can to some degree prophesize the future. Have I made that up? So one thing about this series is it has been a long time since the first two books in the series, and I have kind of forgotten a lot. So I might try and find some plot summaries before I get into that audiobook. Also, I will say, like, the first book was really great. I think generally it's agreed that the second book was not as good, but I have heard some better things about the third book, so fingers crossed, I guess.
If only I could see you. Right now nothing's the same. I wish I could see it too. It's been way too long. Wish I could turn back time to see you at Christmas. If only I wish I could see you in front of me.
I feel like lately, whenever I start a vlog update, I want to say something about the weather, because at the moment it's either like really sunny and hot like summer, or it's rainy. Today has been half and half, and because of that unpredictability, we're staying inside and getting stuff done in my office space, and hopefully I can manage to do a bit of reading as well. I was reading this morning actually a little bit of Gideon the Ninth, so now I am at 70% of the way through, and I think my Kobo's telling me I've got about 2.5 hours to go. I kind of want to just sit down and read it because things are getting quite serious now. We're learning some things. Like, I feel like the momentum's really getting going. Or maybe that's just because I read a bigger piece in one go than I have been in the evenings. Anyway, I'm really enjoying this, and I don't know how this is going to end because I've heard such strange things about where the series goes, so we'll see. The other thing I have realized is I'm only about 100 pages from the end of Ancillary Sword. This, I kind of feel like we're just going to have these privileged people get what they deserve, and maybe it will set up for the third book, because I do at this point think I have an idea. I might be wrong, but I think I have an idea what the third book's going to be about, and I think I'm excited for the third book, especially if it means getting more characters like that one we met in the middle of the book, because for reasons, we haven't gotten as much of them as I would have liked. So maybe in the third book, maybe. I mean, I guess there's still a chance we get something in this book, but I can't see it happening. What I will say I like about this book series is when you kind of can have two scenes simultaneously, because they, through their like ship abilities, almost have the ability to observe other people. Like in the first book, it was that they would have different bodies and be experiencing things through multiple bodies at once. But in this one, even sometimes they're kind of paying attention to something that's happening over here while also experiencing something over here. And so it's kind of telling you two scenes at once, which seems like it might be confusing, but it's done so well. And it's such a different way of writing like multiple events happening. I'm really enjoying these books. I think they're so clever. And even though this hasn't been anywhere near as intense and exciting or like even mind-blowing as the first book, I'm still finding it incredibly satisfying. So hopefully I can finish this off. Like, I haven't read my 50 pages that I've been kind of doing for the last couple of weeks. I've been reading 50 pages a day. I haven't done that today, but I probably will after I film this. Probably. I've forgotten what else is on my to-do list. The other thing... Oh, Mirrored Heavens. So I did look up some plot summaries, and they kind of reminded me of some things. Then I did start listening to the audiobook. Let me check how far through I got. It's Audible, so it won't give me a nice percentage. I think I'm maybe just 15% of the way through, and I'm having some problems. Firstly, there are so many characters. I mainly just remember the main ones like Serapio, Shiala, Nara, let's just call her Nara. I think her name's Narampa, but Nara. Like, I mainly just remember them, and then also this other guy and Nara's bodyguard. Like, that's 5 characters. That's enough already. But we're also getting some other perspective characters in this third book that I do kind of remember we got their perspective in the last book, but I don't care enough about them, and I don't feel like anything they're doing is very interesting. So I'm a little bit overwhelmed by the number of characters, and I don't feel like the plot summary was really able to remind me who all those characters were. As well, to be honest, I don't feel like our main characters feel like themselves. Like, when I think back to the Black Sun. No, just Black Sun. When I think back to Black Sun, I remember meeting Shiala and she was such a badass, like ship's captain, kind of a bitch, like kind of rough and ready and just fully into everything. And now she seems kind of weak. And I don't feel like we've really gone on a journey to get her there. But also, why would I want to read that? I want her to be stronger. That's what I love so much about her. And Serapia as well seems to have lost like all of his kindness that he had still held on to despite all the brutality that had happened to him as a child. So like, I feel like part of it is definitely just me not remembering stuff, but also everything that I do remember loving from the first book, where is it? But I haven't read much yet, so we will see whether I can get back into it. I'm going to try really hard. I'm going to try. So, very unexpectedly, the end of this book actually made me cry a little bit. And it's kind of hard to explain why, and maybe it wouldn't have that effect on everyone. But it's kind of like Leckie did such a great job of describing what it would be like to be a spaceship and be made up of multiple people, that then at the end, when our main character is kind of feeling the loss of that, like throughout this whole series they've been feeling that, but I think at the end of this they kind of let themselves feel that, and because it had been expressed so well, I felt it as well, even though of course I've never been a spaceship. That's not a loss that I've experienced, but still I could feel it. And maybe it's just that we all feel separate in that way at times. I don't know, but the end of this made me cry. Wow, it's so windy outside. I'm actually wondering if you can hear it inside. The wind, never my friend lately. Anyway, this book, I can see that it wouldn't be for everyone. Although I think the average rating is still pretty high, but it's such a different book from the first book in the series, which is more of like a revenge adventure plot, like these big like empire level events going on. Whereas this book, it's more like we're analyzing the culture of this empire and seeing like the effects of its colonization and the way that people are treating each other. And there are some exciting things that happen, but most of it is very slow paced. I've seen a lot of people talking about how much tea drinking there is in this book, and there is a lot. And maybe that's meant to be a reference to like British colonization, since the British are big tea drinkers as well. Anyway, this is an idea book. So many great ideas, such a great analysis of culture and the effects of like class and colonization, and just the ways that people can treat each other. I guess the connections between people. Again, I can see that a lot of people wouldn't like this, especially after the first book, although a lot of the same ideas are carried through into this, but just looked at in a very different way. I am going to take a little bit of a break before I read the third book in the series, but I am very excited to continue this series and see where it goes. I don't know if the third book, like I think it's going to be high action again, but it wasn't really set up for, but I don't know, I think it will be. Anyway, this was great. I'm actually going to give it 5 stars like I did the first book, but like for such different reasons. Anyway, the other thing I've been reading is Gideon the Ninth. I'm now 80% of the way through, so maybe I could finish it off. I've got a few other things I need to do today. And then tomorrow we're actually going to go and get the last of our boxes, so then our moving will be complete, but that means I won't be reading much tomorrow either. So I don't know. I'd like to try and finish this off today, tomorrow, but we'll see what happens with time, I guess. Really, there's no hurry, except that I want to know what's going to happen. And there has been like some really interesting mysteries revealed, which actually makes me like want to quickly rush into Harrow the Ninth and Nonan the Ninth. Like I even have some theories about the third book now, even though I'm still in the first book. Anyway, we'll see what happens and when I can finish this. Actually, I don't know when I'll actually start this, but the next physical book I will read will be The Sudden Appearance of Hope. So I'll probably have read a little bit of this before I next talk to you. So The Sudden Appearance of Hope is about this woman, and of course my battery died. The Sudden Appearance of Hope is a little bit like The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V. Schwab, in that we have this woman who, as soon as people can't see her, they will completely forget about her. But I think she's gonna end up in a life a little bit more where she's acting as a spy. And I think whereas Addie LaRue is a lot about like the emotional experience of having no one remember you, this will be more about the practical side of things. I've read a couple of other things by Claire North that I have liked, although sometimes I find parts of her stories drag a little bit, or like the pacing is a bit up and down, but usually there's some parts of them that I really like, so I'm very excited to get to this. It is quite a long one though, so we need to get going with it.
Lazy Sunday mornings, hiding under covers. I don't mind staying in with you. Play your favorite movie, laying right beside me. I don't mind when it's just us two. That corner coffee shop we like to go.
What is my fringe doing? As usual, we have no idea. One day my fringe will recover from me having cut it myself. One day. Anyway, hello. So I have not read any more, or not even started this one yet, but I have finished Gideon the Ninth. I am so happy to be done with this. That makes it sound very negative, doesn't it? I'm so happy to have gotten through this. Finally, I wish that I had set myself up to read this more quickly, because I think I would have enjoyed it more if I had. But still, I really love this, especially the ending. Like, this book went in directions that were very, like, kind of what I expected, but also completely not. That's hard to explain. And I would also say there are parts of this that are a bit ridiculous, because it is kind of a funny book, but also not really. It's so hard to describe this book because in a lot of ways it's so different from a lot of other things that I've read, but also not really. Am I even saying anything about this book? I really like the humor in this, but I also like the angst. I liked the weird mix of technology and necromancy, even though there's not that much technology, but a little bit, just enough to make it weird. And I liked like that academic view of the necromancy and the mix with the Cavaliers, who are the security, like I said Gideon was. And I liked the like interpersonal relationships. I do wish that somehow the characters had gotten to know each other better, but it's kind of the fact that they don't that makes it work the way that it does. Honestly, I still don't think I actually know what I want to say about this book. What I will say is, right at the very end of this book, there is a big section that goes into like how to pronounce all the different names, so that would have been useful to know that that was there. And there's also like kind of this, like one of the people in this competition has gone and done like research into all the other characters, and so you've got like a little kind of background of each character. Also would have been useful earlier on when I was struggling with understanding who all the characters were, because I don't think it really spoils things. Or maybe it would be better to read those like as you get introduced to different characters, you could go into the research and read their background. I don't think it would spoil things. I think it would just give you like a better understanding of who they all are. Anyway, the ending, there was one thing that I didn't really like, quite a long battle scene. Battle scenes are not my favorites, even though I still think it was well written as a battle scene. It was quite long. But also I think it was important for like the emotional impact of that battle scene. The ending definitely set things up for the next book. I'm a little bit sad because I know I said, actually I think at the end of my last vlog, that I have Harrow the Ninth from the library, and I kind of really want to read it now, but I've been looking at my reading plans for next year, and I actually think for my overall sanity and just to make all my plans work out better, I would be better to pick up at this point Malice by Gwynne, because I really want to read along with Becca in the Books' book club thing, and they're reading Malice at the moment. And I was just going to wait until next year to read it and then try and catch up. But if I try and play catch up with that series, because all the books are so fat, I think I'm just never going to do it, and then I'm not going to get to really like participate in the read along, which is the whole point of reading those books at this point. So I think I'm going to try and pick up Malice. I did actually manage to get the ebook from the library. I am a little bit worried though, because I got it from my old library, like digitally, but from my old library, and I have problems with getting books from different libraries onto my Kobo. I think I just need to sign into the other one, but I remember having a lot of drama with it before, so hopefully it will work. I haven't actually tried to get it on there yet, but if I can, I'll start that tonight. If not, we'll read Harrow. Actually, I think I might have got Harrow from that other library as well, so either way, I think I need to work that out. What else? Oh, I have been listening to some more of The Mirrored Heavens, and to be honest, like, it's fine, but it's also incredibly frustrating because I feel like a lot of cool things have been set up and then nothing's really happening with them. And our main character's plans are the worst plans. Like, at one point, one of the characters said, or someone else asked her, like, what's your plan? And she's like, I don't know. I'll work it out when I get there. That is really unsatisfying and really stupid. Like, this is in a situation where she's putting children's lives at risk. So, like, maybe you need a better plan than, I don't know, I'll work it out when I get there. And it just kind of felt like lazy writing to me. That just sounded way more negative than I was expecting to be. Like, I think it's fine, but I'm just not excited about any of it. And I expect, because I can see some of the pieces being put in place, that the ending will be very exciting and intense. But I don't know. I'm still not sure it's going to be satisfying because there's so much to get through before you get to that. And a lot of it just feels like generic, different people kind of preparing for this war. And like, does the war even need to happen? Not really. It's just some stupid nonsense political power, the gods maybe pushing for it. I don't know. It all seems a bit pointless to me. Maybe I feel like that because a lot of it is just being driven by revenge at this point. I'm trying to look at my phone to see how far through I am in this, but of course it's Audible, so it doesn't make it easy. I think I'm 60% of the way through. This is one, like, I accidentally used the phrase with this one that I was glad to be done with it, but actually Mirrored Heavens is one where I'm feeling like I just want to be done with it. And I guess when I feel like that, I should be saying, well, I should be asking myself whether I want to DNF it, and maybe I should be. But also, because it's a series where I've read now 2.5 books, I don't really want to DNF it. I want to finish it off. I probably will, but I'm annoyed about it. Okay, so I am filming this vlog update purely to try and get out of waiting mode, because this morning I called the council again in my endless quest to actually be able to sell my house. And even though I've called them before and my lawyer has sent them multiple emails, they were like, we don't have any record of you lodging an issue with you. Super great. But I have a lady at the council now chasing things up for me. I don't know what my hair is doing. She's chasing things up for me and she's promised to call me back by the end of the day. So now I'm stuck in waiting mode because I'm like, well, I can't do anything until she calls me, which is obviously ridiculous. I can't just spend the whole day, like it's still early in the morning. I can't spend the whole day doing nothing, waiting. So I've got to get myself out of waiting mode, but I don't know how I'm going to do it. Like, I've got lots of reading to do, but do you think my brain will be able to do reading at the moment? I don't think so. Or anything that requires focus? Probably not. So I'm going to need to find some non-focusy things to do, maybe. But anyway, I thought I could finish this vlog off because do I need focus to do that? I mean, maybe it would be helpful, but we don't have any. And also, though, I don't actually think I've read anything since I last talked to you. I haven't read any more of The Mirrored Heavens because I was going to go for a run this morning, but I can't because I'm in waiting mode. So I guess maybe, hopefully, I won't be in waiting mode tomorrow and I'll be able to go for a run and I can try and finish that off. It's maybe a little bit too long to finish it off on one run, but I should be able to get close. I haven't actually managed to start The Sudden Appearance of Hope, but we'll carry it over into the next vlog, or we'll start it in the next vlog. And then as well, I did actually last night start Malice by Gwynne, but I only read to the point which I'd already read when I did the trial chapter, so I don't really have any actual thoughts on this yet. So once again, I guess that will be the next vlog. I'm somewhat worried that my next vlog is just going to be waiting mode for the whole week, but I don't know. I'll try not to get stuck in waiting mode, but the universe might be against me. Anyway, I did actually finish off Ancillary Sword and Gideon the Ninth in this vlog, I think. Didn't I? I think so. And I loved both of these, kind of for quite different reasons, but I love both of these. So I think this week is a win, even though I'm ending it in waiting mode. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I've talked about in this video, because I would love to chat with you about them down in the comments, or let me know if you've been reading anything else exciting lately. Do subscribe if you'd like to see more of my bookish videos. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are doing well, and I will see you next time.